Devastating flooding right now in Waynesboro.
This can make your morning commute quite the mess.
These are just rainfall totals since midnight.
And Chief Meteorologist Aubrey Urbanowicz is in the First Alert Weather Center this evening.
Aubrey, signs of the storm are apparent all over the region now.
Absolutely. A lot of water across the area and a lot of flooding. Take a look behind me. This is not a watch. These are the warnings. If you are in a county outlined in green, that means you are under a flood warning. So there is either flooding that's happening or it could still happen as our rivers and creeks continue to rise.
So it's very important that we do remain weather aware, not just this morning, but for the entire day today, as we're going to continue to see some moderate to even those heavier showers.
You can see behind me the bridge completely covered by rushing water, debris, and entire trees.
You may think, oh, well, it's not that deep, I can drive over it, but you do not know how deep that water is covering this roadway. So once again, not a good idea to drive over roadways like this.
A lot going on today here in Virginia, but the flood threat is one thing you've been really keeping an eye on here today.
Absolutely, and this was our go day, basically, of when we expected not just the rain, but the heavy rain and the flooding, and that's exactly what we've seen. We had a lot of rain between the overnight hours and today, and that's not even including the rain that we saw over the weekend.
Our winds are going to be about 15 miles per hour today, and with the ground well saturated, that's going to lead to some downed trees, as well as, unfortunately, the chance of seeing some scattered power outages throughout the area. So make sure you do have your electronics properly charged in case of the event you do have some of those power outages.
River levels continuing to be on the higher side.
And we also have a new flood warning.
The rest of the afternoon, it's all going to be scattered.
This road is obviously completely impassable.
Close to 10 inches in wintergreen.
Rivers and creeks will continue to rise.
As you can see, we do have a lot of school closings this morning.
We have the remnants of Florence continuing to work through. You can see some showers and storms east of the Blue Ridge. We're having some showers in West Virginia. Those will be pinwheeling into our area over the next couple of hours into at least the early part of Tuesday.
And take a look at this. This is Briary Branch Creek near the 257 grocery. And look at all of this water. In one of those trailers, a man still inside. I spoke with his daughter and she said he's lived there all his life and said he wasn't leaving. Even with all of the flooding earlier in the year, this creek never rose to where it is today. I spoke with several people who live here, like Tony Cave, and he told me the water today rose very fast.
So the riverbed is anywhere from 5 to 8 feet higher than normal. The rivers was up, and just within 5 minutes it was across this road.
And many areas have seen flooding, and our flooding is going to continue. River levels will continue to rise. Let's go ahead and take a look at that with meteorologist Chris Holtzman. Chris.
Thanks, Aubrey. Yeah, we've been saying this for a week. Flooding will be the biggest impact for our area from Florence due to how wet we have been. And after all, the summer is now the second wettest on record. Rivers and streams already were very high, but adding several more inches of rain only heightens flooding concerns. Now, several rivers and streams are currently at major flood stage, which means major flooding is currently occurring. The South River near Dooms has risen rapidly since yesterday and is near historic levels. Now, here are the latest storm reports, and most reports you see have been flooding related. However, there have been a few tornado reports in southern Virginia, but in our area we have several flooding reports. Several roads are closed in Augusta County, especially in Churchville. And you don't want to let your guard down just because it may not be raining in your city or town. The threat for flooding remains high. Rain that falls over the mountains flows down into local streams and rivers, which will cause them to rise even further.
We pick up another ½ an inch in some of these areas that have already been hit really hard. That's going to set off more flooding.
The South Fork at the Shenandoah River at Luray, you can see right now it is below flood stage, but like I said, even though it stops raining, well, the river can be forecasted to rise above flood stage by tomorrow in the afternoon.
We're looking at widespread rain showers as well as breezy conditions throughout the entire morning and the beginning of this afternoon. The majority of those heavier showers are going to occur throughout the Allegheny and Blue Ridge Mountains.
This was sent in from Graham and Waynesboro. This is Meadowbrook Road. You can see the water along the road. Look at the branch. This current is so strong.
Right now I want to start with some of the river levels. Take a look. The South River at Dooms is near historic levels and near a record crest. So that is at major flood stage. The South River at Waynesboro and Harrison at high moderate flood stage.
So once again, we're looking at an additional 1 to 3 inches of rainfall I understand it is repetitive, but please always turn around, don't drown. Do not go through the standing water, as this is going to be our flood threat is going to be its greatest today.
Locals tell me the entire road was covered with rushing water just hours ago. It ripped out large pieces of the asphalt like you see here behind me. Another reason we tell you not to drive through flooded roads, you can't see if the road is still there underneath. Reporting in Rockingham County, Mackenzie Lee, WHSV.
Earlier in the newscast, I said there were a couple of rivers that are not at flood stage, but they were going to continue to rise as we progress into the overnight hours and into tomorrow. So this is the South Fork of the Shenandoah River at Luray, right now at 8 feet. I know some of the details are hard to read, but by tomorrow afternoon, this is expected to crest over 13 feet. So this is why we don't have flooding right now, but because the rivers, again, they flow from south to north. This water from Rockingham and Augusta County will all flow to the north.
Some areas locally could see close to 4 to even 5 inches of rainfall, especially throughout the Allegheny and Blue Ridge Mountains. So down trees and power outages will also be another threat.
Now that most of the rain has stopped, the rivers are still rising. Chief Meteorologist Aubrey Urbanowicz joins us now. Aubrey.
Well, that's right, Kyle. Flooding is still a big threat through tomorrow because the water, as you said, it is still rising. Earlier tonight, I drove through eastern Rockingham County from McGahkeysville to Linwood to Port Republic. Take a look at how fast this water is moving. This is the South Fork of the Shenandoah River near Island Ford Road. There's supposed to be a boat ramp by that tree. Many people out tonight looking at the high water, and in Linwood, the water rose in just a matter of minutes, blocking the road, and I almost didn't make it to the other side of the bridge because that water, as you've heard tonight, has been rising so fast. If you live or drive anywhere along water tonight or tomorrow, you need to use extreme caution because the flooding is going to stick with us throughout your Tuesday. Chris?
Yeah, Aubrey, the remnants of Florence continuing to slowly move into the region. You can see the spinning right here. That is the actual center of Florence. It's going to be taking its time to get across the area. That means more showers in the forecast. I'll let you know how long they last. That's coming up right after the break. Kyle, adding a half of an inch, while it may not seem like a lot, we already have very wet surfaces on the ground. The soil is so wet, it does not take a lot of water to create additional flooding concerns.
What did you say, 11 inches of rain? Over what time span? You said that earlier tonight.
I believe I said, 11 inches, and that was within 2 days in Wintergreen. Yeah, so, and all that water from the top of the mountain has to flow somewhere.
Right, and it can only go down. All right,
Yep.
Thank you, Chris.
And now, your First Alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist Aubrey Urbanowicz.
We'll take a look at just a couple of rainfall totals. Keep in mind the total may be very different at your house. Rainfall never falls evenly, but this is just today. Today at Wintergreen on the mountain, over 7 inches of rain. Stanton, 2.5. Waynesboro, just under 2. Remember, Waynesboro is a very big area, so this is just Phil's location in Waynesboro. There are other reports of over 3 inches in Waynesboro. Franklin, 1.3 inches. Harrisonburg, just over an inch. And some areas near Briary Branch, as I was showing you earlier today, over 3.5 inches of rain. So again, it may be very different at your home, but this is just a sample of some of the rainfall totals across the area just today. That's not even including this past weekend. So we have had a significant amount of rainfall, and we were to the point, this is what we said last week, we were to the point where it wouldn't take much to create more widespread flooding. And that's exactly what we saw, in addition to some of the wind today and also over the weekend. These are peak wind gusts today, over 30 and 35 miles an hour. And of course, with a very saturated ground, trees can easily come down when the ground is very saturated as it is. So keep in mind, we're still going to hold on to that breeze for tonight and into tomorrow. Still, we are not done with the rain. We're going to see a few more showers for tonight. Not everyone will see rain, but any one of those showers could be quite heavy at times. If we get another half an inch in an area that was already hit really bad by flooding today, that's just going to make things worse. So flooding is still an issue. If you encounter flooded roadways, I don't care what kind of vehicle you're in, do not attempt to drive over it. I had to witness someone driving over a flooded road today, and I thought I was going to have a heart attack. Thankfully, that person is okay, but that is very dangerous, and you're basically putting your life at risk by doing so. And our rivers will continue to rise. Even if your river has not crested yet, well, it could over the next several hours and into tomorrow. But the good news is we do have some more sunshine on the horizon. So take a look right now. We have a line of showers, and it looks like some thunderstorms trying to form on the eastern side of the Blue Ridge. We're pretty quiet right now in the area as far as rain, but we still have some showers to our west. So again, we're not done with the rain just yet. Any one of these showers could pick up in intensity, and we could see a few pockets of heavy rain tonight. So severe weather is very close to the I-95 near Richmond. This is a tornado watch. We've had several tornado warnings today and even a couple reports of tornadoes. This is where the most wind shear is associated with some of these storms. So we do have that tornado watch. That includes Richmond and into the D.C. area and also across the Delmarva. We did mention last night that with our wind today, it wouldn't be impossible to see a brief tornado or what we call a quick spin up. Right now, we're pretty good, and that threat is remaining to the east of the Blue Ridge. Low temperatures for tonight dropping in the mid to upper 60s. We'll still see some scattered showers, and the rain chance is not going to go away even into the morning hours for tomorrow. But things will improve by the afternoon. So here's a look at the hour by hour tomorrow morning. Some more rain. Again, pockets of heavy rain at times. This can make your morning commute quite the mess, especially with a lot of ponding of water on the roads and drainage ditches that are already full, in addition to maybe your front or backyard or basement that's already full of water. Rivers and creeks will continue to rise, so be aware of that. And temperatures for tomorrow will stay pretty warm and a bit on the muggy side. Showers remaining early in the day, and then our high will end up being near 80 degrees throughout the afternoon. So your Blue Mountain Plumbing and Cooling 7-day forecast. Look at this. Look at Wednesday and Thursday. What are we missing? We're missing rain.
Oh my God.
No rain, thankfully.
Wow.
Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we get a much needed break from the rain. Now, tomorrow will still be breezy, but the best shower chance is going to be early in the day, probably before about 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then we'll dry out, and we're going to stay dry for a couple of days. And then we've got more rain for the weekend. But let's talk about the sunshine.
What are you
Let's focus on those days.
What are you going to do?
I'm going to take a little break. I think.
You need one.
Oh my God.
But
I don't
yeah,
remember
just
what it looked like.
a bad situation out there across the area. And here's the thing: I'll show you some of the river levels when I come back in a few minutes. There are some rivers that have not crested yet; they're not that high. But because of the way our rivers flow from south to north, we've got rivers that are still going to climb over the next 24 hours. So that's something to be aware of. And if you encounter flooded roads, please remember that current is super fast, very dangerous. Don't put your life at risk.